Hi, welcome back to Learn Payload with Colin. Today we're going to be working on a custom component that I needed for a project. I needed a I needed a password field instead of just a plain text field in the admin panel. And so it didn't seem like there was any way to do that in the documentation or anything that's ready to go, packaged, ready to go. And so so I chose to create a password field in as a custom component, a custom field within Payload, and the process is fairly straightforward. But I did have to dig around a little bit to make sure I got it right, especially the TypeScript type safe type way of doing it. And so it's going to be a fairly quick video. I'm using this field for some projects that I'm working on. I'm going to be talking about this in an upcoming video, but we'll save that for later. But just know that I'm working on some pretty cool stuff in Payload, and I can't wait to show you. But the custom component password field is part of this thing. And so I wanted to show you that. And if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. My name is Colin Brown. I've been a web developer for about 20 years. But I am new to Payload CMS, and I'm using this channel to document my learning journey, and maybe you get some value out of it in the process. And if so, if you at the end of this video you think this is valuable, make sure you subscribe and like this video, and please comment on any of the videos that you see in this channel. That would help me. And so, yeah, let's get right into it. I'm just going to walk through the code that I already have because it's easier for me. But I'll go through it in line by line to make sure it's that we understand everything. So I'm over here in my admin panel, and I have this sort of simulated example of what I'm using this password field for. And you can see here it allows me to toggle as well. And so there is no field that lets you do anything like this that I'm aware of in Payload CMS. It is just a text field, and then I'm customizing it to be either type password or type text. And then the styling is there too, so I'll show you how to do that. So let's head on over to the code. So I have a fields folder in my app, and inside there I have password.tsx and password.scss for some styling, some custom styling. And in your collection, I have a global config here. This could be for any field, could be for a collection, but I am using it in this global config for this thing I'm calling authentication providers. And you can see here I have none of this is that relevant to this particular video, but down here I have a field called client secret. I gave it a label of client secret. It's a type text, required true, and then here's where the custom component for this field comes in. I'm saying admin, components, and then field, and then you give it the path of the field. And the way you do that is you give it the path of the file name, but you also have to annotate the fact that it's the name of the component itself. So if you go in here, you can see here password field is the name of the component. And so you just make sure you pass that along as well. I'm not exactly sure why they use that convention, or I've never really seen that before. It doesn't seem like a conventional React way to do things, but eventually I'll figure it out. But I'm just going along with however they want me to do it. So you pass as a string the path to the field, and then in here there's some things to be aware of. You need to add Payload CMS /UI to your packet. You need to install that within your app. And one thing you need to make sure of is that it's the same version. So make sure that this package is the same exact version that you're using, the version that Payload is in. So if you go into your package example, package JSON file, you'll notice that everything's set to latest. So it was a little bit difficult for me to know exactly what version. But if you go into your log file, then you'll see that you'll see the version in there. So you'll see that it's version 3. And for this video anyway, version 3.25. And so instead of saying latest on Payload CMS UI, I am saying 3.25.0, because at the time of this video, I did have latest, but it was 3.26, version 3.26, which didn't work with this particular version of Payload. I ran into some issues. So make sure that this is the same version that you're running Payload with. So now that we have that, go back over to here. So yeah, we're going to grab a hook out of Payload CMS UI called use field. Make sure this is a client component. Grab this type text field client component from Payload, and then I'll show you why I'm using state here in a minute. You can import your custom CSS. I'll go over that in a second. I also installed Lucid React because I wanted some icons for that little toggle button. I was hoping that this UI package had some icons already to use, but they do have icons that you can use, but none that I needed for this. So I grabbed these from Lucid. Here's where you want to make sure, this is where the use field hook comes into play. Oh yeah, you can type hint this component with text field client component. And then the props that come from there are path and field. Path is the name of the field, but the entire path that got you there. So if you look at our globals, it would be auth providers, and then because this is an array, auth providers, and then the index of the field that of the array. So in this case, index 0, since we have one item in this array. So anyway, it traverses all the way back down. So it would be auth providers dot 0 dot client secret. And what I use that path as the ID in my input. So I have just a plain old input here, and I say ID is path, also name. The name of the field has to be that path. The path is a prop, again, is a prop from this component being added into this component. And then I do some type hinting here because they have a generic set on this use field. This is what allows you to set the type for the value that comes back. In this case, it's just a string, but you can imagine this potentially being a number or maybe even a date, maybe, depending on if it's a date field. So I have this as a string, and this now you can see if I don't have this here, you'll run into some problems with TypeScript. TypeScript doesn't like that because it doesn't really quite know what to do with that. If you hover over here, you can see it says unknown. And so just want to make sure that this is hinted at. So now if you hover over, it says string. I also grab the label from field. Field comes from the props. So field is the configuration object in your config. So all of this information here is what comes back from the props as field. So we have label. And so I just check to see if label exists. If it doesn't, I use the name. And then I set this as string. Yeah, just ensure that it's a string. And then I pass that down over to label here. So there. And I have I have some classes on here. So field type and text, and I grabbed these from just by inspecting the DOM here from client ID. You can see that it has this wrapper div is field type and text, and then the label is field label. And so that's what I did. I added field label and field type and text. And that seems to have worked just fine. So it looks exactly, just by doing that, it made everything look the way it's supposed to look. And then as far as customization, additional customization for this toggle button, I have this button now. I have, this is where the style sheet comes into play. So I have inside of password.scss, I have a password field wrapper, which is just set to relative, and then an absolute position toggle button that I have here. So here's the wrapper, and then here's the toggle button. Make sure you put type button if you're going to do that. You don't want to make, the default is submit, and so you obviously don't want a submit button in there. And so now I have some state. So show password, set show password, default to false. And then it just toggles that to show or hide the password here. And then in this use field, you get the value, and then you get set value. And then you also have to pass it the path that comes back from the props. The path, again, is that traversed path from your config. And so you give it that. And then I'm just, again, using that for the ID. And then you have your set values. So for the on change, you just do the set value, and then value equals value. Yeah, so that's it for this. Yeah, let's try it out. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. And yeah, so yeah, there's really not much more to it than that. I appreciate your time. I wanted to make this one a quick one, but I'm using this building up on a project that I can't wait to show you. And it's all authentication related stuff within Payload, and we're going to use this custom field for that. And so I just wanted to kind of break away for a moment and show you that. And hopefully that was helpful. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you in the next one.